Hi, I'm Ann Fraser. Welcome to another edition of Bringing Hope to Alzheimer's. And today I'm sitting with my good friend Whitney Sparks. And Whitney, you work at Silverado, correct?
Yes,
Can you
yes.
tell us about your position and tell us a little bit about your background, what you've done in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been with Silverado almost 2 years, and prior to that, I've been a CNA, a med tech, I've been in activities, and when Silverado came to the Kansas City area, they asked me to be their family ambassador, and of course, I said absolutely. I love helping families, and this is something I just love to do.
That's awesome. Very good. All right, so Silverado, you guys are a big supporter of Night of Hope and of the gala. Tell me a little bit about why you guys are involved and what your thoughts are on the gala and what we're trying to do in our movement.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first got involved with the Night of Hope, my sweet friend Annie said, Whitney, the Night of Hope, we should really attend this. And I said, what is it? She's like, something we can relate to, and I think it's going to be a positive movement for us. And I said, okay, great. So the first time I went was 2 years ago, and ever since then, when I heard you speak, it just blew my mind on how it really touched me and really just took me back a little bit, and I'm really appreciative of that. And then the following year, Nicole, someone I work with, she said, Whitney, they have an opening, on the committee. I think we should do it. And I said, yeah, I actually really want to. And so we did that, and I didn't turn back, and she really helped me figure that out a little bit. And then this year, we are another sponsor for you guys, and I can't wait because you guys are growing so much, and I can't wait to see what this gala has for this year for sure.
Yeah, this gala, we've changed everything up. It's going to be in a different location and a lot of new things. So I think it'll be really fun. We want to make it different every year. So people look forward to coming every year to see what we're going to do next. So, and continue to grow and let people know about what we're doing. So share with us a little bit about Silverado and how it's different than a lot of memory care facilities.
Yeah, so Silverado really touches on the early stages of dementia. And, we have this amazing Nexus program that helps slow down the process by 60%. And a lot of families that come in and they see me and they're like, 60%? And I'm like, no, it's true. And, two of my most favorite pillars that we have, there's 5 of them, but the 2 I like the most are purpose-driven and then cognitive exercise. Those are my most 2 favorite. And I can just tell you stories about all day how we have changed so many residents. We've actually just recently had a resident, she moved in last month and completely bedbound. She couldn't even score anything on her mini mental. And the family's like, we need help. This was not our mom, and we need Silverado. So we went out and we assessed her. We brought her into the community, and it's been now 2 months in February, actually. And she has scored a 26 out of her 30 on her mini mental just from our 5 pillars and the engagements that we have brought to her. She's up out of her room, eating at meals, conversating. And that's kind of what brings me to that purpose-driven part. So just because you have dementia does not mean your life is over. And that's what we want to bring here. It's amazing. We do that cognitive exercise. So cognitive exercises just isn't, oh, your mom's sitting at a table doing adult coloring or crossword puzzles. That's not what that is. It's much more than that. It's cooking club, it's exercise club, it's getting that mind stimulated. Anything that we can do, we will try to get that for them. And then with the purpose-driven one, this one, it's super personal because it just gives them that ability to still live their life, just like they did prior to having the disease. So for instance, we had a gentleman living with us, and he just kept talking about St. Joe this, St. Joe that. And so finally our activity director said, hey, can we sit down with you? And he said, of course. And he listed all these things about St. Joe. And we told him like, hey, can you come help us with this activity? And we had about 15, 20 residents in the living room. We had the TV up, and he got to talk about St. Joe because we made a PowerPoint for him. And he pointed to the pictures, and he's like, this is where I grew up. And we took a picture of his house. We found it online. And that just gave him so much purpose, and we loved it. So
I love that. Aw.
Yeah.
Well, I think in your program with these 5 pillars is called what?
Nexus.
Nexus. So I want people to hear that because Nexus, what you guys are doing in Silverado is what I'm doing in my personal life, just on a different scale, right? So, and that's one of the exciting things is many times it feels like different, like communities, like that's where you go to put someone to die. And that's not the truth. That's where they should go to live and be able to get better and be able to live out their best life no matter what stage they're at. So I love that about Silverado. That's why you guys are one of my favorite communities here. So
Thank you.
that's great. Let's see. Tell me a little bit more about your role. How does that fit into Nexus and to the care that you guys give? Tell me a little bit about what you do exactly and how that fills in.
Yeah, so my role at Silverado is to help those families find placement for their loved ones living with dementia. And I've always tell families that the hardest part is walking into the community and admitting that you need help. That's the hardest part ever. And they're vulnerable to us and telling their story, their journey, and how their loved one has changed. It's not the same person they once knew. So my role is to help them that know there's hope and they can get to know their loved one now. They may not be the same one they used to know, but it's important now to develop that new relationship with them where they're at now. So not being the caregiver anymore, going back to being the daughter or the husband, wife, just going back to being in that role, it helps a big part of it. And we're very family oriented. We want those families to join in those activities, be involved as much as they can.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to return back to the podcast in just a moment. But we wanted to do a quick infomercial and we wanted to tell you that we are looking for sponsors for our podcast. So if you or anyone you know have been affected by Alzheimer's and you're loving our podcast, then we would absolutely love to talk to you. You know, we're based here out of Kansas City, but we have listeners all over the United States. And in fact, all over the world, which is really fun and exciting to see where people tune in from. So France, Australia, all kinds of different places. And that's really, really cool to see our reach go so far. And we are hoping to take our podcast to 2 days a week. So in order to do that, we are looking for some podcast sponsors. So if you or anyone you know would love to have an infomercial about your wonderful company, we would love to spotlight you. And so please reach out to us and email us at info@thenightofhope.com and we will reach out to you and we can talk about all the different levels that we have. You can sponsor for 1 month, 3 months, or a year. We'd love to talk to you about that. So thanks so much. And again, reach out to us by emailing us at info@thenightofhope.com. Thanks so much. Now we'll return back to the podcast. Every time I come to Silverado, I notice that, and I go in and out of a lot of different places, but I notice the most at Silverado where you guys are out. You're not just sitting back in your offices. You're out and about. You're talking with everyone. You're visiting, you're commenting, you're complimenting, you're having conversations, and they're having conversations back. So there's really a synergy between everyone there, and I love that. And I just think that's so important, what you're doing, and having that families, like we did a organizational thing there when we watched the movie, and with the families coming in and just being able to talk with them. You guys do that really well, so good job.
Thank you. Yes, we love it so much.
Yeah. So this podcast, as you know, is all about not only for when people have Alzheimer's and they're far down the road, but one of the things that we really talk about is that prevention, early detection, and potential of reversal. So with the different things that you guys are doing in research, talk to us a little bit more about, yes, your Nexus program, but talk a little bit more about your founder, how this all kind of came about, and what you guys can potentially do for the loved ones who have a parent or a grandparent that's at Silverado.
Yeah, so our founder and CEO, Lauren Shuck, he's an amazing man. This is his baby, Silverado, and he takes really great pride in it, and he's always trying to figure out how we can innovate Silverado and what's the next step. We have so many communities that join researches with universities and how we can help slow that down progression. I do think a lot of families are now participating in more research that comes with KU and how we can help them in the long run. I know myself, I have participated in just seeing how Silverado can help those slow it down a little bit, if that answers it a little bit.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So you guys encourage the loved ones who have someone in Silverado, you encourage them to get involved in some of the research projects.
Yes, absolutely.
Very good. And then I know you guys probably talk with them about Night of Hope and what our mission is. And as you know, we're going to be doing a free cognitive testing, a couple of those throughout the year in Kansas City for people who maybe you're like, is something wrong with me? And they can get that tested and then decide if they want to take that next step in exploring what are some treatments or what are some things I can do out there, whether it is looking into integrative or functional medicine, or if it's they need to go and do the full on, Alzheimer's, neurological, all the things. So that's pretty cool. What resources do you guys have available for individuals and families that come into Silverado? What resources do you provide them?
Yeah, absolutely. So myself, I do family support groups with those families. I do it the second Thursday of every month. I do them with the families, and I'm doing with the families that are not quite moved into Silverado as well, because maybe they're a caregiver and they just don't know how to cope with that yet. So I do offer that as well for them. And then we have Nicole. She does Memory Cafe, KU, Alzheimer's Disease Research Center. And then also I have given them plenty of resources for KU, or even if they're just not quite ready, even Alzheimer's research. I just say, hey, you just call this number anytime. If you feel like you're alone, they're always there to answer your call and help you through that process.
Very good. What have we not covered today that you want to tell me or tell our listeners about Silverado and just about what you notice overall in this industry?
That there is hope, that you're not alone. And the most scary part, I think, a lot are afraid. They're afraid that they're going to lose their loved one, and they're afraid that they might have it themselves and they don't know what to do, and they notice they're starting to slip just a little bit. And I think it's important that we can educate those in the younger generation on how to take action now versus rather than later, because there's so many things we can do to prevent it. As you know, that you're a huge advocate for it, and that's why I love you so much. And I just think it's just super important that we act now rather than later, because we can prevent. And I think that's what Silverado does. We help slow down the process. And there's, like I said before, so many stories that we've had residents that have gotten better and not worse. So...
And that's what we want,
Yes.
right? It's like, I always say it's like cancer. The earlier you catch it, the better your chances are of either maintaining where you're at or that potential of reversal. And so if people can learn that, it does take some work. It does take changing some things, but it's worth it in the end, right? I love that. I love Silverado. I love what you guys are doing. And of course, I love you and Nicole. You guys are fabulous and great advocates for us and what we do here. So I appreciate you coming today.
Thank you.
You did great.
Thank you. Yes.
So, all right. Thank you all so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time on Bringing Hope to Alzheimer's.